आज का जो हमारा टॉपिक है इट्स अबाउट द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ रशिया. रशियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज मोस्टली इंस्पायर्ड बाय द फ्रेंच कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. एज यू नो दैट फ्रेंच कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन is semi-presidential. Russian constitution is also a semi-presidential type of constitution, but Vladimir Putin has made it a kind of presidential system. As you know, there is a war between Russia and Ukraine, so all and all power is in the hands of the Vladimir Putin. But the constitutionally, Russia is a semi-presidential system. So as you know that formally it is a successor state of the Soviet Union. इससे पहले यहाँ पे सोवियत यूनियन की रियासत थी. And Soviet Union broke up in 1989, and after that there were successions in the Soviet Union, and multiple other states were formed in 1951, 1952, 1953, all those things. So Russia was also formed in 1991, and there was a national referendum on 12th December 1992, and on this constitution, and in that referendum, mostly public gave votes in the favor of this constitution, and this constitution was enforced on 25th of December 1993. So basic features, as you are aware of these basic features, because we have read about the constitution of UK, constitution of USA, and you have seen these features there. It's a written constitution. You know what does it mean by the written constitution? That there are specific articles and there is a specific book available in the for that constitution. Only constitution in the world which is not written is the British constitution, that is semi-written. Some of things are just conventions or customs, so that's partially written. But Constitution of Russia is a written constitution, and there is a federal system. You know, in federal system there are one is central government and the other is provincial government, or you can say constituent governments. Two government systems, and powers are devolved. And it is also a semi-presidential system. You are quite aware of the semi-presidential system. There is one prime minister and other president, and there is power sharing formula between president and prime minister. So it is also a bicameral legislation. The upper house is called Federal Council, and the lower house is called Duma, State Duma. Uh, uh, you can say that National Assembly in Pakistan would be called as State Duma, and the Senate would be called as Federation Council. So, okay. तो bicameral legislation है, separation of power है, legislature, executive and judiciary is separate, checks and balances का system है, there is a referendum on important issues. As you know, there is a tradition of referendum in the French constitution. So as same is thing with the Russia, on important matters they are going to be to held a referendum. एक मिनट. Okay, ji. And it's also a republic state. Republic state means head of state is elected, president is elected, and supremacy of constitution and federal laws. आपने okay. As you know, that there is a supremacy of constitution in United States of America, but here something different is that supremacy of federal laws are supreme. Like पंजाब गवर्नमेंट अगर को अपना लॉ बना भी लेगी तो फेडरल लॉ जो है वो उसके ऊपर प्रिवेल करेंगे. सेम थिंग हमारे यहाँ ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में नहीं है, लेकिन उन्होंने इसको कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में ऐड किया हुआ है. एंड देयर इज डेमोक्रेटिक राइट ऑफ सिटीजंस which is life, privacy and religion. And there are also one important thing which you can say one different thing, that's the duties of citizens. You can see rights of the citizen in all constitutions, but you will not see duties of the citizens in the constitution. But Russians have provided duties of the citizens, like if you are a citizen of Russia, you have a duty to perform, and that duty is the obedience of the constitution. The supreme duty is to pay obedience to this constitution. If you are not obedient to this constitution, you have no entitlement for the rights. You cannot claim that these are my constitutional rights. If you want some constitutional rights, then you have to also perform some duties. This is one of the unique thing in the Russian constitution. No other constitution of the world provides duties for the citizens. Every constitution provides you rights, but no one constitution also impose duties on you. But the Russian constitution imposed duties on you. And there's a multi-party system. Multiple parties are operating in the Russian Federation. And judiciary is basically a constitutional court or a Supreme Court, you can say. There is no concept of judicial review, but there is a Supreme Court. And fundamental freedoms, not fundamental rights, fundamental freedoms. Fundamental freedoms mean you have freedom of association, freedom of press. It's by going through the constitution, you can see that this constitution a little bit different and authoritatively, you can say this constitution paves the way for our authoritarian government. So it quite restricted वे ऑफ रूलिंग, आप कह सकते हैं कि वहां पर कोई इतनी ज्यादा आपको इस तरह से जैसे वेस्ट में लिबर्टी है वैसे वहां पर नहीं है, यहाँ पर थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट है। यहाँ पर थोड़ा डिफरेंट है। एंड sovereign democratic nation secularism, different religion is different from the politics and difference in theory and practice। थ्योरी में कुछ है, प्रैक्टिस में कुछ है। थ्योरी में तो ये है डेमोक्रेटिक होगा, लेकिन रियल में तो वहां पर व्लादिमीर पुतिन की एक तरह की डिक्टेटरशिप चल रही है। नो वन कैन क्रिटिसाइज हिम, मरवा देते हैं वो। एंड रूल ऑफ लॉ, दीज आर द बेसिक फीचर्स ऑफ द रशियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। सो इसका इतनी आपको चाहिए, कुछ ज़्यादा इसको इन डेप्थ जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। एंड इफ़ यू वांट टू गो इन डेप्थ देन यू कैन सी इट्स कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पीडीएफ में आप इसको डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं। सो नेक्स्ट, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ तुर्की। ये आपको इसलिए करवा रहे हैं कि इनमें से एमसीक्यूज आ सकते हैं, कोई इसमें एमसीक्यूज के हवाले से आपको ये पूछ सकते हैं। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ तुर्की, आपको पता है कि 1922 में जब खिलाफत को ख़त्म कर दिया गया, देन अतातुर्क वाज अ मिलिट्री जनरल ऑफ द तुर्की। He defended Turkey, and he also established a new state by the name of Turkey, and he abolished Khilafat. So a new constitution was promulgated at that time, and later on, constitution keep on changing. And right now, there's the Constitution of Turkey 1982. This was framed in 1982, and it's a kind of a based on the loose separation of power. We have seen strict separation of power in United States of America, but there is a loose separation of power. The judiciary, legislature, and executive are quite separate, but loose separation. We will first start from the legislation. There is unicameral legislation. Unicameral legislation mean only one house, and which is called Grand National Assembly, and its tenure is 4 years. It has 600 seats of 81 provinces. There are 81 provinces, और उनकी 600 सीटें हैं। And executive is headed by the president, and the tenure of president is 5 years. President appoint ministers, which is called council of ministers. You can say cabinet is called council of ministers. So it has three founding principles, which is also called Ataturkism. That is, Ataturkism means the Turkey is based on three main principles, founding principles: secularism, democratism, and republicanism. Secularism means religion has no effect on politics, and religion and politics is separate thing. This is secularism. Democratic means majority will decide, and republic means the head of state would be elected. National sovereignty, as you know, there was the concept of popular sovereignty in France, like people are sovereign, but here it is national sovereignty. National sovereignty is a very unique concept. Like popular sovereignty means people are sovereign. If people want Islamic government, then there would be Islamic government. If people want you can say anything, whatever thing people want, that would be okay, that because people are sovereign. But here national sovereignty means the interest of the Turkish nationalism will are sovereign. And unicameralism, as you know, one house, which is Grand National Assembly. Democratic presidential republic, and president is head of government and head of state. A kind of a, you can say the constitution of Turkey is presidential in nature. It's not semi-presidential. It is purely presidential. So it's democratic presidential republic. President is head of state and head of government, and he is elected for 5 years, and his tenure, he is elected directly by the universal suffrage. Elections of the president are held all over the country, and the and president should be at least 40 plus, like his age should be 40 years, and he should have a graduation degree, and he should be a citizen of Turkey. This constitution are also unique in this thing that like they also declare that he should be a graduate. Local government system under the European charter of local self government, as president uh, is unable to, you can say, rule the 81 provinces. So they have local government system as all over in the Europe, under the European charter of local self government. And independent judiciary. Judiciary is independent constitutionally. They can declare any law null and void. And military is guardian of the secularism, or the Ataturk ideology, which you know, which has three principles: secularism, democratic, and republicanism. Military is the guardian of these things. Like if there is any kind of change in these principles, then military will take over the power. And there were military coups in the Turkey. And right now, recently in recent past, Ataturk also wanted to make it a Islamic Republic. So military tried to coup, but that coup was failed by the people of the Turkey. And now they are on the track of popular sovereignty. So military is a guardian of secularism and Ataturk ideology, but weakened due to rise of Justice and Development Party under Tayyip Erdogan. Tayyip Erdogan is very powerful, and they failed the coup. And equality before law and unitary nation or state, unicameral legislation. Bill of Rights, there is also a right of life, right of security, right of property, right of privacy, right of religion, right of opinion, etc. All those rights are enshrined in the Constitution. And national sovereignty, government and parliament both can propose laws. As you know, there is a loose separation of power. So parliament is different thing and executive is different thing. Government means president and his council of ministers. They can also propose some laws, and parliament can also propose laws, and all the agreements done by the president would be ratified by the parliament, as in the United States of America. So that's it. इसके बाद आगे हम चलते हैं Islamic Republic of Iran constitution. Iran was a monarchy before 1979. Raza Shah Pahlavi was the ruler, and there was a revolution, Islamic revolution in 1979, and a new government emerged, which is a kind of a hybrid of theocracy and democracy. Sorry, the picture is a little bit blur, so you cannot see. It is hybrid. At this point, the word is hybrid of theocracy and democracy. So just wait for a few minutes. I will resume that. Okay, ji, let's start. Sorry for the disturbance. So it's a hybrid of theocracy and democracy. Theocracy means there is the government of the mullahs or the Maulvi Hazrat, and democracy means at lower level they have the ability to decide their matters. Sovereignty belongs to God, and there is a, as in Pakistan Constitution, we have declared that sovereignty over all universe belongs to Allah Almighty, and it is a sacred trust with the people of Pakistan to exercise this sovereignty through the chosen representatives. So it means that the ultimate authority is with the Allah Almighty, and Allah Almighty has given us a sacred trust. Allah Almighty has granted us some powers for this world, and we have to exercise it within the limits of the Quran and Sunnah. So we elect our representatives in the assemblies, and they go to their assemblies and they decide the matters as per the laws of the God. They are not sovereign, they have a delegated authority. So same is with the case of Iran. Iran has also declared that sovereignty belongs to Allah Almighty. No person, no a single human being can be sovereign. So unitary system है. Unitary means there is no concept of federal, provincial government or constituent units government. Only one government, which is federal government. Federal government will decide all the matters, and presidential system is there. And Just wait for a few seconds. जी. Okay, this is a fifth point. Third point, sorry, blur है थोड़ा सा. Unitary government means there is only one government, which is federal government, and Khomeini, as you know, the founder of Iranian Republic was Khomeini, Imam Khomeini. So he has some principles. Khomeinitic presidential थियोक्रेटिक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है ये. आप कह लें कि उसका अगर आप शॉर्ट टाइटल में बताना चाहेंगे ये पूरे ईरानी रिपब्लिक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को, तो खमीनी प्रेसिडेंशियल थियोक्रेटिक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. इट मींस दैट द Khamenei would be the president, and it would be a theocratic state. Mullahs will decide the all the legislative matters, and this is Islamic Republic. Head of a state would be elected, and he is the supreme leader of Islamic Revolution. Next, it is a tricameral legislature. This is a unique concept. You know, we have studied about the unicameral legislation and bicameral legislation, but in Iran there is a tricameral legislation. Tricameral legislation means upper house, which is assembly of experts, as we have Senate; lower house, Islamic consultative assembly, as we have National Assembly; and a third house, which is ancillary. Ancillary means guardian council for the revolution. If there is anything against the revolution, Iranian revolution, then this ancillary will be active. And executive is president-led government, and prime minister is just defunct. As you know, there's in France there was the 50% powers to the prime minister, a power sharing formula, but in Iran, president is only person who is calling the shots, and prime minister is just uh, a defunct office. And judiciary, guardian council is the Supreme Court of Iran, and it will decide the matters as per the instructions given by the supreme authority. And authors of constitution are members of assembly of experts. Assembly of experts mean Mullah Hazrat, and they are the main authors of the constitution. And there is a concept of separation of power inspired by the French Fifth Republic. This constitution is inspired by that, and they have a separation of power, executive, judicial, and legislature separate. But in France, we see that prime minister is also 50% power holder, but in Iran, prime minister is just a titulary head. Next on Constitution of People's Republic of China. Chinese Constitution, it was promulgated on 4 December 1982. इसमें it is a written constitution having 138 articles, and it's a Marxist-Leninist republic. Marxist-Leninist means it is inspired by the Karl Marx theory of, you can say, capitalism or surplus value, and Lenin was the main person who was responsible for the revolution in the Russia. So it is inspired by those. And unity form of government mean a centralized form of government, only one government, and no other parallel governments. single party system, only one party rule, and there are multiple factions in this party, in under the umbrella of this party. So this is a one party rule, unicameral legislature, only one house, and fundamental rights are given in the constitution, and duties of the citizens, as in the uh, Russian constitution, there is also duties of the citizens in the Chinese constitution. And this is a presidential system. In fact, it is, in practice it is a purely presidential system, but in constitution it is a semi-presidential system and rigid constitution. It's very difficult to amend the constitution, and indirect elections for the president. So this is a very complicated system, लेकिन चलें आपको इस यहाँ पर थोड़ा सा समझाते हैं कि क्या होता है कि वहां पर बेसिकली एक नेशनल पीपल्स कांग्रेस है। बेसिकली जो मेन जो उनकी अथॉरिटी है वो नेशनल पीपल्स कांग्रेस ही है। ठीक है, लोग जो है उनको इलेक्ट करते हैं। उनके जो आप कह लें कि लोकल जो अथॉरिटीज होती हैं वहां से वो पूरे मुल्क से जो है नेशनल पीपल्स कांग्रेस जो है वो इलेक्ट होता है। अब ये भी नेशनल पीपल्स कांग्रेस भी बेसिकली उनका एक बड़ा ही एक आप कह लें कि सेंट्रलाइज सा सिस्टम है। उसमें यह है कि सबसे पहले आप पार्टी की मेंबरशिप लेते हैं। पार्टी की मेंबरशिप लेने के लिए आपको एक इम्तहान देना पड़ता है। जब आप पार्टी की मेंबरशिप लेते हैं तो फिर ही आप नेशनल पीपल्स कांग्रेस में वोट कर सकते हैं, उसके इलेक्टोरल कॉलेज को वोट कर सकते हैं। तो आपके लिए ये है कि नेशनल पीपल्स कांग्रेस को इलेक्ट किया जाता है। वो साल में एक दफा मिलती है। एक दफा मिल के वो एक तो प्रेसिडेंट को इलेक्ट करती है, प्रेसिडेंट को इलेक्ट करती है, साथ में वो जो है वो स्टैंडिंग कमेटी को इलेक्ट करती है। स्टैंडिंग कमेटी जो होती है वो ही लेजिस्लेचर बनाती है, एग्जेक्टिव बनाती है और जुडिशरी बनाती है। उसके बाद नेशनल पीपल्स कांग्रेस जो है वो डिसमेंटल हो जाती है। एक दफा मिलके इनको प्रेसिडेंट को इलेक्ट करके, लेजिस्लेचर, एग्जेक्टिव और जुडिशरी को इलेक्ट करके वो फारिग हो जाते हैं। पीपल इलेक्ट प्रोविंशियल कांग्रेस, एंड प्रोविंशियल कांग्रेस इलेक्ट नेशनल पीपल्स कांग्रेस, विच इलेक्ट प्रेसिडेंट एंड अपॉइंट स्टैंडिंग कमेटी। वो फिर आगे इनको अपॉइंट करते हैं और वही फिर आगे काम करते हैं। तो बाकी जो है चाइनीज सिस्टम जो है वो बड़ा ही आप कह लें कि एक रिजिड टाइप का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है, अथॉरिटेरियन टाइप का है। तो दैट्स इट, ये आज के लिए इतना ही काफी था। तो कल से हम इंशाल्लाह कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ पाकिस्तान और उसके आप ऊपर काम करना शुरू करेंगे। अब अगर आपके कुछ सवाल हैं, यू आर मोस्ट वेलकम। जी, किसी को कोई सवाल, जैन, हिना, हबीबा, सुमेरा, किसी का कोई क्वेश्चन आज के इन कौन से, इनको आपने सिर्फ गो थ्रू करना है, इन पे टाइम वेस्ट नहीं करना, इनको बहुत ज्यादा याद नहीं करना। अगर आप पिछले 5-10 सालों में देखें तो इनके ऊपर कभी सवाल नहीं आया, और अगर इन पे सवाल आ भी जाए तो आपने यूके यूएसए किया हुआ, तो यूके यूएसए में से लाजमी सवाल आना है। तो आप उसको अच्छे तरीके से तैयार करें, उधर सवाल आएगा, इनको चॉइस पे भी छोड़ सकते हैं। अगर ये आते भी हैं तो आपको टेंशन नहीं होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि आपने यूके यूएसए को अच्छे तरीके से करना है। दैट्स द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट। यूके यूएस एंड पाकिस्तान उन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को किया हो तो इनकी जरूरत ही नहीं है।
सर इनके लिए एमसीक्यूज वगैरह
हाँ, इनमें से एमसीक्यूज आ सकते हैं।
सर आएंगे ना?
हाँ, आएंगे आएंगे।
तो सर उसकी भी तो हमें थोड़ी लिटिल बिट तैयारी करनी होगी। लिटिल बिट नहीं, क्योंकि 20 मार्क्स भी बहुत मायने रखते हैं।
नहीं, वो 20 मार्क्स में आपके देखे ना, फिलोसफर्स हैं 10 नंबर के।
जी।
ठीक है, 10 नंबर के फिलोसफर चले गए, उसके बाद को 5 नंबर के इधर से आ जाएंगे, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में से आ जाएंगे। 5 नंबर के आपके पाकिस्तान अफेयर्स या फॉरेन पॉलिसी में से एमसीक्यूज आ जाएंगे।
ठीक है सर।
ठीक है, तो इसमें से बड़ा भी
ठीक।
आएगा, मेरे ख्याल से 2-3 ही एमसीक्यूज आते हैं इधर से।
सर अभी भी तो ये जो तुर्की सेपरेशन, मतलब उनका एग्रीमेंट था ना यूएसए से सर, 100 ईयर का।
ध्यान।
जो अभी वो separate हुए हैं, जो अभी उन लोगों ने जो है ना अपना नाम भी चेंज किया है, तुर्की ने तुर्कियानो लिख रखा है अपना।
जी जी।
सर वो क्या था, थोड़ा बताएंगे?
वो ये था ना कि वर्ल्ड वार 2 जब एंड हुई थी, तो वर्ल्ड वार 2 के बाद उन्होंने एग्रीमेंट किए थे कुछ तुर्की के साथ, अतातुर्क के साथ। वो इसलिए किए थे क्योंकि वो जंग हार गए थे। तो उसमें ये था कि आप जो है वो ड्रिलिंग नहीं कर सकते, नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज को एक्सप्लॉइट नहीं कर सकते। आपकी जो स्टेट्स होंगी, जो बंदरगाहें होंगी, उनको हम जो है वो यूज करेंगे इंटरनेशनल पर्पज के लिए। आप टैक्सेस नहीं लगा सकते हमसे, वो जो उनकी वो है स्ट्रेट ऑफ हरमूज, नहीं नहीं, स्ट्रेट ऑफ हरमूज नहीं है, वो जो उनके है स्टेट ऑफ मरमरा, हाँ, सी ऑफ मरमरा और सी ऑफ ब्लैक सी को जो आपस में मिलाती है, उसको उन्होंने कहा था कि हम यहाँ से फ्री नेविगेशन करेंगे। तो अब चूंकि वो 1923 में वो एंड हो रहा है, तो वो फिर वो एज अ सॉवरन स्टेट जो भी उनके होंगे वो कर सकेंगी। सिंपल थिंग है।
सर एंड तो हो गई ना उनकी?
नहीं अभी नहीं हुई, अभी 23 में होना है।
23 में? फिर नाम जो इन लोगों ने चेंज कर दिया
हाँ
है और
नाम
अभी
से क्या,
फिर
आप जो मर्जी रख लें, इट्स अप।
इस्लामिक वे में फिर आ रहे हैं वापस। ठीक है सर, थैंक यू
आप
सो मच।
पाकिस्तान से पाकिस्तानियां रख लें, क्या हो जाएगा।
नहीं, ऐसे कैसे रखेंगे? कुछ रूल्स होते हैं ना।
नहीं नहीं, आपका नाम हिना है, आप हिना से हिनिया रख लें, क्या होगा, हमें क्या एतराज है।
ऐसे कैसे रखूंगी सर मैं, जबकि अबू, मेरे अबू वालों ने रखा है। तो जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में था नेम होगा, हम उसके अकॉर्डिंग चलेंगे ना।
हम्म। कोई नहीं, ये कहने की
अब तो
बात
कंट्री
है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज जस्ट अ
कंट्री
पेपर।
सर ऐसे कैसे पेपर होगा?
चलें जी, ठीक है जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच। और किसी का कोई सवाल? चलें जी, मैं मीटिंग